Today I am joined by Shay.
Hey guys!
And we have accomplished something truly amazing. We both beat Dragon Quest VII. That is an accomplishment. I know people joke about RPGs being like, 60, 80-hour adventures, and wow, I don't have time for that. But, you can kind of breeze through games in like 30, 40 hours. Like when we talked about Final Fantasy 15, that we were both around 30, 40. I think you were more than me, but I was around like 30 hours when I beat it.
I was also like focusing on bounties and stuff.
Right. But this one, I think, is impossible to beat. Anywhere under 60 hours would be miraculous.
Yeah.
Such a long game, so it's going to be such a sporadic conversation we're going to be having. But this is going to be a spoiler cast, and that's kind of something that I want to do more in 2017. I had a lot of fun with Shay last year doing Final Fantasy 15, and it's very rare that Shay and I will actually finish a game very close to each other.
It's incredibly rare, if at all.
Yeah, so that's why I want to do some of these going forward. So this one is a 3DS remake based off of the PS1 game that came out in early 2000 or something like that. And this remake came out in like 2013 or 2014. And fans were clamoring forever for Nintendo to translate it. Oh my god. Now I know why they didn't want to do it. I think it literally must have taken them 3 years to translate everything, because not only is it a long game, there's a lot of text, but so many places you go to has new text for different things. Oh yeah,
everyone has different dialects.
It is insane. I really want to know the word count for the script in this thing, because it has to be like more than like the Harry Potters and like Lord of the Rings combined with like the Bible. It is huge.
Yuji Horii is the director, right?
I'm pretty sure he has tackled every single one.
When they started this, he said he wanted 7 to be the biggest Dragon Quest, because it was going to be the first for the PlayStation, and they were going to be tackling the new graphic engines.
Final Fantasy VII was a huge landmark for Squaresoft, so we're going to make our 7 also be that.
And this is before the Enix acquisition, so this was like, I think this was like Enix's last hurrah before they got bought.
Okay, so you're this boy, you name your character, whatever you want to call him, Trump, whatever.
I based it on the manga, so his name was Aris.
So, beginning of this game, you're this boy, and you live in this very tiny island. You're the only island in the world, which no one seems to think is weird, except you and your friend who's a prince of the neighboring kingdom.
Yeah, who has a wild hair up his ass.
You're the fisherman's son. And then you discover some ruins, and then there's a childhood girl that comes along, and eventually you find this portal, and you get sucked into this other world where monsters are like all over the place, and you've never seen them before, because it's a peaceful one island world. And eventually, after a couple of these islands that you go through, you figure out that you're actually going back in time, and you're restoring the islands, figuring out what went wrong in the past to fix them in the present. So you both have to do something in the past as well as do some stuff in the present. So they kind of double back, do like a light world, dark world kind of thing with this game. It's one of the things that artificially pads the entire game. Not until like the very, very end of the game does the story really start to get going.
Right.
Essentially, these are all like little vignettes that you're trying to figure out, like little anime episodes.
It's very episodic. Each island is its own like episode. Some are longer, the bigger ones obviously.
Some are annoyingly slow. What, that flower one, where all you do is, in order to figure out what you have to do, you literally have to talk to every single person. Sometimes in order to move the story along, you actually have to talk to every single person.
Yeah,
and
you
then
have to
talk to like the head of the village again. Like, oh, you talked to everybody? Okay, time to move this along. And it's just an arduous process.
Kinda. I know it's really annoying for us as the player to have to go around and do that. It sends a good message for, little kids. You want to expand your world, you got to know people.
Oh my god.
How do you know people? You communicate.
If I was given this as like my first RPG, I would have put it down a long time ago.
Oh,
There were so
shit.
many breaking points in this game where I almost put it down, and it's just that even though this game launched in September in
Mm-hmm.
in the U.S., there are very few like facts out there. If you try to look it up, most of them are going to point you to the PS1 game, which has different names. And
Right.
also, after a while, it becomes kind of non-linear. So sometimes when you ask what I gotta do here, you gotta figure out, okay, what have you done? And it's just
Like when I got stuck and I asked you, and you were like, "Well, what islands do you have?"
yeah. And then somehow that you did islands that I didn't do, but I did the islands that you didn't do. I was like, wait, I
I
thought
had I
I
had
did this
skipped
already. So
ahead.
obviously that you did this thing, and it's just a
Uh,
mind
yeah.
fuck.
At a certain point, it becomes very non-linear. If you have the pieces to make the island, then you can do them. And sometimes they give you so many random ones that all of a sudden you start finding complete sets, and you're like, "Well, what the hell?"
Yeah.
And then I got lost.
So it's kind of nice. There's like a little blue orb at the top of your screen, and it tells you if there's like a fragment around, and that's
Oh,
how you complete all these islands. There's basically in the present there's like this big pedestal, and you're trying to like remake all the islands, and you get these pieces after doing like all the little story bits, and you just get enough to move on to the next chapter of the game essentially. And
hmm,
sometimes there are different ones to go to, and sometimes you don't have all the pieces. But I didn't
yeah.
figure out until halfway through the game, and might have been for Shay too, that you can actually ask the game itself to see where some pieces are. It'll point you in the
Oh man.
direction, which is kind of really nice, but I didn't even like think about going
So
into the options to check for it.
you don't have that option in the PS1 version. That was like new for the 3DS, and I am so glad they added it.
You also told me that it was all random battles, so
Oh man,
I don't
the
even know
random.
how you put up with the PS1 version.
So you remember how in Bravely Default, if you set the encounter thing really high, and it was like every like two or three steps you get in a fight.
Yeah, if that's what Dragon Quest
So
VII
that's
was in
what
the
it was
PS1,
like.
yeah, I don't think I would have made. I don't think I would have. Oh my god.
Yeah. So about the time I got the second girl, that's where I stopped playing on the PS1 version.
Yeah, and some of the little vignette things that I mentioned were kind of interesting, but as the game dragged on, I felt like these are kind of starting to get pretty
Oh
weak because there are how many islands do you think there are? It has to be like
God.
20, 30 different like little kingdoms and like
Uh,
worlds that you go to.
yeah, I'd say 5, 4,
Something
20.
something close to that. And it starts off like very simple. Like what's the first place is I
Emberdale?
think the first no, that's like the second or third. That one is all about like a volcano that you got to like figure out. There's one where there's like monsters attacking. You gotta like figure out. There's like an
Uh,
ancient hero that's actually a ghost. God, there's actually like some, like I said, like some actually really fun little things, but none of them have anything to do with like the story. So I'm like, what the heck? I mean, the story basically is what happened to the world and you piecing it together. That is the overall plot of the thing. And then towards
uh,
the end, you kind of figure out there's like the
it,
Almighty, which is God, and then you kind
yeah.
of figure out
I
there's
want
like
to
a
say it's
battle
about
between
the time you get Marvin. Or
yeah, pretty
Melvin or
much.
whatever.
He's like one of the later party members, and he fought alongside the Almighty to banish this evil lord. And the evil lord is the reason why all these islands disappeared,
Yeah, because
more or
God lost
less.
a fight. Did you notice that when they show the Almighty, his eyes are like fucking tweaking out the whole time?
That might have, I didn't notice
It
that.
looks like he's blinking like rapidly.
It might have been
It
your. I don't think it might be your 3DS.
No, I watched it. Like even like when he was big, and then when he's little, his eyes still look weird.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have much else to say in the story. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. It's in terms of story, I think it is a pretty weak story. A cool concept of like restoring the world through time travel, but
Yeah.
man, what a
Uh,
slog.
I think a big issue with Seven is that, like Dragon Quests in general, until eight kind of broke the mold, but Dragon Quests in general were pretty vanilla. Like you have the protagonist that doesn't talk. You have very basic.
Even your like party members don't really say anything besides when
Yeah,
they get first introduced.
Seven was just big because it was big.
It was just long.
Right.
Long to be long for long's sake.
Right.
Everybody looked the same. Like, if you go into town, there are NPCs that obviously look the same, but sometimes, well, not even sometimes, most of the time, even main characters were just sprite copies, and it's just like, how am I supposed to think this guy is someone special and not? And every once in a while, they had, like, actually someone special. Also, speaking of, like, special characters, are we supposed to assume that, Sky Shark, what's his name?
Oh,
Shark
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah, I have, like...
Is that supposed to be your father?
No, I think he's your grandfather. Your dad is his son.
Oh, okay. I like brushed past it. I'm like, what's happening here? I don't care. I really, after a point, after like the 30-hour mark, I was like, I just want to get this done. And then it went on for like 30 more hours. So I finished the game at like 64 and like my highest was like level 36 or something like that.
Yeah.
And you, level-wise, were not that much higher, but yet you were like almost 100 hours.
I am 104.52.
Holy God. To put this into perspective, I think I played Dragon Quest IX. My hour count on there is like 79 hours.
Oh,
but
wow.
I even beat the game, and I wanted to continue playing, but this one, it just, because of just like the pacing, I was just like, I don't want to do anything more. And the story isn't the only problem, so let's tackle like the gameplay and stuff next.
Yep.
So you start the game with Mirabelle, Prince
Kiefer,
and then your main character, and that's fine. 3 characters is great. How long before you get rough?
I want to say he's like the 6th island.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long to get him. Once you do, it's like, you got this full party, but essentially you have a very, very basic party of basically just attacking, and you get some spells and some like
they're kind of
techniques.
random.
Did you ever like actually go through manually to have everybody? Because I just set them on the tactics thing, and they are actually pretty smart.
No, I controlled everybody.
Oh my gosh! No wonder you had like that many hours. Usually I am more meticulous, but this one I felt that everyone was. If you use the tactics, everyone was fairly smart.
Well, that's good. Now, if I ever continue playing it, I can just trust the tactics.
Yeah,
because sometimes AIs are so freaking stupid. Like in Persona 3, they would use like spells that would not help you at all.
I that's why I stopped Persona on the PS2, because I couldn't stand I can't control these people. They're so dumb in Persona 3.
But
so
Persona
dumb.
4, they fixed it. They were at least a little better. Like, if you had something that was elementally weak, at least that character would frickin' use that spell.
And then you don't unlock, like, the crux of what everybody likes about this game, which is the job system. And that doesn't unlock until, like, the 20-hour mark. Like, I
honestly, you don't even have Kiefer for that.
No, you don't.
Which pissed me off so much, because I was like, oh man, this is going to be a warrior, this one's going to be a mage. No.
I thought that exactly too. Like, he's obviously the warrior, because that's how he was so strong.
Yeah, he was.
So, yeah, eventually Kiefer leaves your party to be with it.
He falls in love.
He falls in love randomly with, like, he sees a girl and it's like, oh, I'm in love now. And it was just like this one story moment, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You don't say, like, anything almost this entire journey. No one does. And then he's like, I've been with you my entire childhood, but this one chick, I want to fucking bone her. Later, guys, I know my place in the world. What? Like, there was no kind of, like, gratification. There was no moment building up to that. I was not like, man, someday I want to find some girl in some kind of gypsy pack. There was just no payoff for that moment, which I think there's no payoff for anything that happens in this game. But so he leaves, and I'm boned because
because he was one of the best attackers.
I was like, how am I going to do this without Kiefer? And I'm like, well, surely he's going to be replaced sometime soon.
Right? Wah, wah.
No. So you get to All Trades Abbey to get the jobs in the 20-hour mark.
Oh, man.
And then you don't even get your 4th party member until... God, I got Mervyn around, like, I want to say late 30s, maybe early 40s. And then you get Aish sometime after, like, pretty quickly after that. But so, 0 to 20, nothing. And then you get the jobs at 20. 20 to 40, you get a 4th party member again. It's just... It's all over the place, and it's just, like I said, bad pacing, bad padding to make everything seem longer and more epic. It is insane. But once you do get the job system, it's really cool because
I do like the job system a lot.
training into jobs unlocks other jobs, just like how it is in Final Fantasy Tactics, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Things make sense.
Oh.
Like if you do the priest job and then you master the monk job, then you unlock a paladin.
I made sure that as soon as I got it, I had Maribel doing mage then priest, so it unlocks sage.
I think I pretty much kept to a certain track list. I did not bother with any of the latter tier things. I didn't really bother with like dancer or troubadour or anything like that. I did do pirate and sailor and then pirate, and that actually unlocks some cool stuff. Because I was just trying to differentiate everybody, and then I figured out like I'm just going to do all these master classes because who the hell cares? It's so late in the game. I just want to be powerful. So everyone's going to be a warrior. Everyone's going to be a priest and a mage. And then they're going to be a gladiator, a hero, and et cetera, just to like unlock a bunch of stuff. And
I kind of wish that there were more classes to unlock.
I wish you had this during like, at the very least, 10 hours. Like when you get rough, then you unlock the trade. So I had like more time to do this stuff. Like I would be so many times I would be in the past.
Yeah.
And you can't zoom in the past.
No, you can't do shit in the past.
I don't understand. It's just, you can't do anything in the past for, like, fast travel. So sometimes I'll be in the dungeon and I master a thing, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go around more in this dungeon or this story and not have my job system leveling up.
Right.
Go all the way back to the present, go to the trade abbey, change my things up, go back, and just again, padded everything to this like arduous thing, and I can't imagine doing this on the PS1. I don't see how anyone could beat this game under 200 hours on the PS1 version. I'm sure.
You know, that is Tim Collins, the kid that gave me Dragon Quest VII. He said that it was 100 hours flat just to do the game, nothing extra. And it was about like 200 hours if you wanted to do everything in the game.
Yeah, overall I don't think this Dragon Quest Arms are usually pretty hard, but I didn't really have that much trouble. I died maybe twice, and I can't remember specifically what boss, but I never grinded. Just kind of if I hit a monster, I fought him, but I never that much time to do any grinding except for like some job stuff. But yeah, I thought it was pretty easy, which if this game made me have to grind and have to go through all that story, I really can't see myself having finished this game.
I beat it at 40. That's insane for a final boss.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got it in the West. Don't get me wrong, and I understand why Nintendo didn't bring it over. I definitely would recommend other Dragon Quests before this one.
Yeah, I would too, just because 7 ended up being more of a headache than I remember it when I was younger.
It's just, the thing that I don't like about video games is I'm okay with puzzles. If a puzzle is a puzzle, like if I'm stuck in a room and I need to figure out what order of things to do something in, or...
Like Wild Arms 2.
You can easily look that up, but if it's a thing where it doesn't tell you where to go, and there's so many things to do it in, there's 2 different worlds to explore.
Right.
Most games, if that happens and I can't find out where to go, I give up because it's not worth my time running around talking to every single person just to figure something out. And there are so many points in this game where I almost did that because it's just not well told to you what to do. And I'm not saying that I want this thing to be linear and I want the game to tell me every single thing that I should do, but you gotta give me a little bit and not waste my time having to talk to every single person on almost every occasion in like the main plot point. And it's just all like vapid nonsense dialogue too.
Right.
Boy, this flame sure is good. Did you see the whatever? I like this hot dog. Well, you talk to everybody important.
I remember having such fond memories of 7, even though when I found out that the 3DS one was made, but it was when it wasn't coming over here still, I started playing 7 again, and I realized how freaking hard it was. And I don't know why I didn't think it was that hard when I was younger.
Well, I'm certainly glad we are past that now. It's like the most relieving video game I've ever played. And it's not like it's a bad video game, because when I had to finish a bad video game for review, it's just like, thank God I got past that. But this one felt like a good accomplishment, but at the same time,
right?
We're kind of talking in circles now. But yeah, it's without playing it. If you guys, I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't played it before, because this isn't really a review. This is talking about everything. But I mean, if you haven't played it, it's really hard to talk about because there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's such a jumbled mess of a lot of things that it's just hard to summarize, essentially.
All I can say is the problems with 7 were fixed in 8.
8, I think that it has like the best story out of all of them. And yeah, so like any closing thoughts on Dragon Quest VII before we throw it in a fire? I say that like this is a terrible. It's just an exhausting game.
Well, yeah, all. I mean, it ended up feeling like I was so excited the first half of the game, so excited. Everything was going like boom, 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 boom. And then you hit that point. It's about like 40 hours. You hit this wall and you're just like, man, where's the end of this game?
What the hell am I supposed to do?
Right? And I got seriously lost at least 3 times. Right?
I would get stuck and you'd help me, kind of, and then you would get stuck and I would kind of help you, but yeah.
Yeah, it ended up just being kind of a nightmare. If you haven't played it, it's worth it. Just if you have the time to invest.
If you want a Dragon Quest game on your 3DS, get 8. And then maybe check out 7. I feel bad for anybody if this is your first RPG, because then you're like, is this what the fuck these old things are? God, these fucking things suck, and then like never.
Yeah, are these what these old people are always talking about?
What the fuck am I doing? Why is this dog and not a... Why is this boy a dog?
Why is this dog
Why
not
did
a
Kiefer... Bros before hoes! I really don't understand why he left.
He found love, dude.
He's the shittiest person in almost any Dragon Quest game. He's shittier than Prompto. They should make a fat... They should make a fat Kiefer game.
Man.
But yeah, it's a good game. It's a slow burn. It does have its moments. Don't pick it up as your first Dragon Quest or first RPG, my god. But yeah, thanks for joining us in this very, very sporadic spoilercast from Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past. And like the title suggests, we are going to forget these fragments of the
They are
past.
part of the Forgotten Past.
Yeah, I want to forget. Hit it and quit it. Just like well, no, not like Kiefer.
Just like Kiefer leaves your party.
I wish we could find a gravestone that said, I got AIDS, so sorry I left. I left you guys. You realize Kiefer, he like fell on a rock and died. Okay, yeah. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Did you know that was a Reaction Examiner video? If you liked it, you should subscribe to me to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Also, if you have some other interests, like sex for example, check out Tomups, which is a comedy sex podcast thing wherein my best friend and I check out the weird and abnormal and the erotic. And of course, you should support me on Patreon because, hey, I want to make the channel better and I want your help to do so. Plus, if you want to check out my writing, check out Game Jerk, where I have archives and new stuff for all projects, okay? You can find all the stuff and more in the description with the links below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.